it's dawned on me that you ain't coming back. I've lost my chance to see us find our way back. And in the end, amidst these trying times, I'll always try to find you. I'll lie to you to find the truth that you hold back. So stay with me. You know that I'll follow. I can't breathe. Together we'll fall apart. Stay here right in my arms, and we'll start again. So stay with me. Together we'll fall apart. Dramatically talk to me, and it's so funny, you're all I wanted, and I can't talk, want you out of my life, so just say none. I'll wait for days if you ain't one, I'll just say none. So stay with me, you know that I'll follow. I can't breathe, together we'll fall apart. Stay here right in my arms, we'll start again. So stay with me. Together we'll fall apart. Together we'll fall apart. Together we'll fall apart. Just stay here right in my arms, and we'll start again. So stay with me. Together we'll fall apart.
Four French drivers at the French Grand Prix trying to win this on the final lap. They're three wide again. Guillaume down the inside. Guillaume moves across. They're both in front of Milan and Pouget.
But before you know it, we find ourselves here in the very final race of the competition.
And then they see truck racing and they think, this is crazy. You know, these are 5-ton machines, 1,200 horsepower brake.
Oh, look at that switchback. Oh, he's been loved. And a terrific go out.
Ben Gregory now, I love this. 16.5 minutes gone. Senna Lanson tries to go for the race lead.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening and welcome to Chaz Draycott Media, and welcome to rounds 19, 20 and 21 of the World Sim Racing World GR86 series. This is the 7th round of the championship, the 7th race meeting, and boy have we had a busy championship so far. It's been very nip and tuck all the way up and down the order since the very start of the championship, and we arrive here at Sandown, a really difficult track for these drivers to get used to. We have a long way to go around here this evening, because there's going to be a lot of laps on the board, and it's going to feel like these guys are getting quite sick of this place. There's a lot of slipstreaming opportunities as well. It's a very difficult track to get right, with a start-finish line that is really early down the straight, as you can see there. They go left to right on that image there, and then they go around counterclockwise, basically. There's 13 corners, and there are plenty of overtaking opportunities. Hopefully we get some fantastic racing out of these guys tonight. We don't have the biggest of grids for the season, unfortunately. We've dropped down in numbers as the season has gone on, but it's still great competition throughout those that are on our grid for the night. There is your championship standings then. It's Alexander Davidson for Pure Sims Esports leading the way at the moment on 855 points. He's ahead of Michael Hefliderson, who's on 788, so he's jumped up ahead of Michael Evdoka, and Michael Hefliderson's teammate Matthew Crisp is in 4th, so it's a 2v2 fight between those pair at the moment. And then we've got Christoph Karekis in 5th, only 3 points behind Matthew Crisp right now, and it's close all the way down. In the AM Championship, it's Maciej Sakovic there in 8th place ahead of James Neve, and there's not much separating them either, only 7 points in between those two. Ian Manners is also in that championship fight with Marcus Adams too, so plenty to go on there. They've got no points between them, and Matty Wilde is only 4 points behind them. Carl Hardy's then only 22 points back, so it's very close up and down the order, but we are here at this amazing Australian venue of Sandown. The drivers are just going through qualifying at the moment, and here you see teammates Michael Hefliderson and Matthew Crisp really pushing the boundaries, and that is down into turn 9 where Michael Hefliderson has come to grief, and it's so easy to do that as hello everybody in the chat wherever you may be. Lapiste saying heavy one last night, lad. I don't know the meaning of a heavy one, my friend. Unfortunately, I think I caught something off my co-commentator Jack Oliphant from the weekend, and I've had a horrendous migraine for the last sort of 2 days, and it will not go away. I had it all through my shift last night, and it's been horrible today. I've got my monitors turned down so much today as well, honestly. I've got I can barely read some of the writing at times, so you might have to bear with me at points, but I've got everything turned down tonight. I've not got any of my lights on in my studio, and it's very Very much trying to save my eyes because I've got such a splitting headache. But of course I don't want to let these guys down, you know, and if anything does seem darker than normal or light, I'm not sure it will affect the broadcast or not. It's going to be quieter as well. I've got everything turned down my end, but the volume, I think, to you guys will still come through okay. We've got James B GP2 in the chat saying, evening Chaz, best of luck for a great night's racing. Thanks very much, mate. White Van Gaming as well, saying that your voice sounds much higher pitched on Catstall's Countdown. Oh, and Evans as well. Evanzo, sorry, mate. Craig Evans, good to see you, mate. Hope you're doing all right. Now, I must explain what the hell White Van Gaming is on about. So, over the weekend, I was commentating at Wilton Mill on Alpha Live, doing the Wilton Mill Kart Club. It was great fun. I was working with Jack Oliphant and eventually Henry Baudet as well. And there was somebody in the YouTube comments that made a comment about my voice and commentary style that I'd never heard before. But they said I sounded like comedian and also man from Lancashire, John Richardson. Now, it's not too far away from me in this part of the world, so maybe the accent is similar. But he said I sounded like comedian John Richardson, and I've not been able to sleep at night thinking about that because he said it's not because I'm boring or anything. He says I just sound like him. I hope you all disagree massively. I do like John Richardson, but I kind of hope in a way that I don't sound like him. But then again, if all this commentary stuff goes to pot, I can make a career in celebrity impressions. Brian Holmes saying he wasn't wrong either, for God's sake. Right, well, we'll leave that, shall we? Maciej Sakovic here in the number 8 machine is 8th in this session and 8th overall in the championship as well. But he is the highest placed AM driver in the championship, so he is right up there at the top of the standings ahead of this man, James Neve, for work guard by result. He is 2nd in the AM championship, and the two of them, oh dearie me, in very close competition with each other, as James has unfortunately overdone it into the final couple of corners there, and will not be too chuffed with that. Here's Andy Shield, series admin at WSR, World Sim Racing, in the WSR branded machine as well. Flying down the long straight here at Sandown into the almost 90-degree left-hander at turn 1 as his Pure Sims teammates throw it off the road. You can see there's so much commitment needed through there, and these curbs are really tall as well. Through turns 2 and then 3. I think this is actually where we saw Flyderson have his moment just a bit earlier. But turn 4 and turn 9 can look quite similar. They've got the same sort of setup as well. You go through a right-left, hard on the brakes into a very tight left-hander. Brian's saying he can't unhear it now, the fact that I sound like John Richardson, for crying out loud. That's it now. Andy now down this humongous back straight towards turn 6, the terrifying turn 6. There's been many a huge incident here in supercars and in many of their support categories as well. Through turn 7 and turn 8, hard on the brakes since turn 9. It's a much faster version of turn 4. He's run pretty wide there as Andy. I'm not sure he'll get away with that or whether he'll have an off-track for it. You get an incident in iRacing, or an incident point as they call them, if you run too wide and go outside of track limits, and even if it's a 0x as it comes up as, you get an invalidated lap time. It basically tells you how many times points you get, so it'll say like 1 times a incident point, it'll come up as a 1x. Usually in official sessions you can get up to 17 in the shorter races. But any of them that you can get will invalidate your lap time. Andy Shield did do a valid time though. It was a 1:23.17, but that's put him at bottom of the pile at the moment in 14th, and you can see he's just trying to find that commitment. He's trying to push that bit harder. Alexander Davidson is top of the pile now after his previous efforts. He's got behind him Morgan Butler, or he did have. It's good to see Morgan back though. Morgan jumping in for the, I think, the remaining few rounds of the championship, but would you look at that, 3rd, 4th and 5th actually separated by 5 thousandths of a second. Very, very close between those three. I'm delighted to say that Morgan is one of 2 photography suppliers for the Chaz Draycott Media Formula 1 World Championship by F1Countdown.com, which is also broadcast here, funnily enough, on Chaz Draycott Media. We have Mr. Hedge iRacing Photography, who does all the gorgeous pictures for this championship though, as well as our championship sponsor, Butt Kicker, for whom we are very grateful to the support from. Now here's Morgan sitting behind Alexander Davidson, or is it Evdoka? No, it is Davidson. And you can see that they've sort of hindered themselves here and held each other up a bit. I think Alex was hoping to be in front to give Morgan the slipstream, but I think they just ended up too close together at the start of the lap. We remain on board with the number 33 car to see what he can do. Medmo in the chat saying, great track for the woggle cars this evening. Yes, a few weeks ago I went to say that someone was having a wobble and a wiggle, and I called it a woggle, which is what we used to call the little plastic thing that you put around your sort of neckerchief scarf thing in the Cub Scouts here in the UK. And look at that now. Flyderson is second fastest ahead of Karekis. 2 thousandths between those two. And then there's 5 thousandths between the 3 cars behind them. It's incredibly close. Morgan Butler then onto the brakes into the last couple of corners here, down at turns 11 and 12, and then they've got turn 13, which is this sort of slight kink here. Leads them across the start-finish straight and are already across the line, beginning a new lap. They've got James Neve behind them there. Majek Sakovic has just made his way into the pit lane. Bit of a blink in and out there for Alex Davidson. We've seen him disconnect before. I think he disconnected in one of the very first rounds of the championship, actually. And unfortunately, that blew his chance of a race win. Here's one of their teammates, Pete Newman. Pete had a very tough time last time out at Long Beach, actually. He was having a lot of spins and really not getting on with the car and struggling to wrangle it around. But having this smaller grid for these guys is very important now, because at the end of the day, if you're one of these drivers that does turn up, there's always a chance that you can climb up the order very quickly over those that are no longer choosing to participate. So we have a couple of cars in each class tonight. I think in the Pros we've got 8 cars, and in the AMs we've got 6. The Pros and AMs separated by the red and blue little coloured stripes on the side of the screen there. You can also see the leader of each class, and we'll give you, the best lap times that they've done to show you the differentials and all that over the course of the night. Colin Sansom just having a bit of a moment there on the exit of turn 1. And again, it's very easy to... Oh, well, there you go. It's very easy to overdo it in these cars. That was Heflida Johansson going off the road. Another one of the AM drivers just pushing a little bit too hard in these late stages of qualifying. We've still got this round and 3 more left to go, so we're going to hopefully bolster the grid up a little bit more to the remaining rounds. Heflida Johansson is one of the drivers that made his debut last time out. Unfortunately, we do not have the superstar that was... I think it was Akram Yanoune, I think his name was, that was there last time. He was fantastic. Sorry, Akram Zinoune. He was really, really good to watch. Just having a quick look on here, and there's a couple of drivers that have had quite substantial tech upgrades, actually. Colin Sansom saying he bought himself a new Ryzen CPU. He's got some Husink-Veld pedals as well. And he also got himself, by the look of it, a Simagic Alpha GTC wheel as well. So he's had a new direct drive and very, very good pedals. So he's just going to be getting used to them and making sure that he can get all of the pace that he can out of them. Azul overdoing it slightly there through turn 1. It's very, very easy to do that, like I say. Some of the drivers here doing practice starts as the session does come to a close. And before you know it now, everybody will disappear off the track and Pete will meet the wall. And we'll be able to get our first grid of the night. Now, don't forget, everybody, that we do also have, over the course of this evening, the fantastic reverse grid spinny wheel, as you will see here, which is courtesy of wheelofnames.com. It's a great place to be able to sort of generate these wheels like this. You can customize them a lot, put your logos in, and the way that they work is really, really, really clever. You can do a lot with them, and you can even change the color of the background. I've got it green screened on Google Chrome at the moment, so you can choose it to be neon green, so then you can obviously blend it into nice images like that and have a moving component on your screens. It's lovely. Anyway, session has come to a close now, and it's going to be Alex Davidson that is going to be on pole position for the first race of the night, which is going to be round 19 of this championship. And we're just waiting now to see when the session ticks over, because for some reason it's taking its time. Usually you get a couple of minutes for the session, but it's gone sort of 2.5 minutes already at this point, so I'm not quite sure what's going on there. I just checked the Discord a moment ago, and Magic Sakovic was saying that he keeps thinking it's the second to last week of the championship, and this is the 3rd week in a row. We've still got a couple more after this, to be fair. We've got quite the exciting calendar, actually, to round out the season. I'll just grab said calendar now to tell you what those final couple of rounds are. You can see that the cars disappear now, so they'll all line up on the grid in a moment. Next time out, next week, the 2nd of May, we go to Manicourt in France, and then we go to Twin Ring Motegi in Japan, which is going to be a great race meeting, I think. And then the final race of the season is going to take place at Daytona as well. It's going to be a lot of fun there. But we now have our grid for the first time tonight. Alex Davidson on pole position alongside Michael Hafliderson. Then it's Christoph Karekis and Jesper Eriksson on row 2. Morgan Butler and Matthew Crisp on row 3. Marcus Adams and Magic Sakovic are the highest placed AM drivers, with Pete Newman 9th and James Neve rounding out your top 10. Behind them we have Ian Manners in 11th position, Andy Scheel in 12th, Haflider Johansson is 13th, and Colin Sansom rounds out your 14 car field. So all the drivers now get ready, as the lights will come on shortly. I've just got to wait now. You can see just how long the run is down towards turn 1. Just waiting to see whether Davidson... Oh, there he... Well, there's Karekis popping up. We're waiting for Davidson and Butler. And still we wait for Alex Davidson. He's only got about 10 seconds to pop up on the grid, and he will appear very close to our camera on this near side. Boop, there he is. And I love this grid, by the way, even 2x2. That's proper old school, isn't it? Let's get this first race of the night underway then, shall we? Round 19 of the World Sim Racing World GR86 Series is underway from Sandown, and it's an amazing initial launch from Michael Hafliderson. Great getaway, and of course having that side-by-side start on the grid really does help him out. He's in front of Alex Davidson for now. Is Alex going to commit down the inside into turn 1? No, he's not. There's a bit of movement in the middle of the pack, as I think Sakovic is ahead of Adams as well. He is. Sakovic there in the yellow and black car, just behind these guys in there in the AM Championship lead, and in the AM lead in the race as Karekis throws it up the inside of Hafliderson, goes a little bit deep, and Jesper Eriksson can now make his way through into turn 4, and that's given Alex Davidson a chance to run away. Look at Sakovic now getting a run on Matthew Crisp. He's on his left-hand side all the way down this monumental back straight where the slipstream will come into effect big time. Sakovic staying over to the left. On the right-hand side is Matthew Crisp. They're both getting slipstream off the cars in front. Bit of a later change up through the gears there for Crispy. I can't see him making any progress on our... or through the window as Sakovic goes down the inside. He's got it done. And look at this. Wow, look at that. Never mind, look at this. Look at that. Karekis throws one up the inside of Morgan Butler. Morgan compensates, gives him the room. And I don't think he's got rid of the overlap yet as we go into the final couple of corners. This is turn 11, the right-hander. Turn 12, the left. I think Morgan cut that chicane a bit there. He might get a slowdown penalty for that. I'm not sure what they're like on this circuit, but he gets a great cutback on Karekis. Top 3 have broken away here. And just behind them, Marcus Adams is in this as well. But look at Matthew Crisp in the thick of the action as well. Crispy's really stuck in amongst it now, and he's got James Neve, Pete Newman and Andy Scheel right behind him. Busy first lap. Down the inside goes Crispy. Big send into turn 1. Hopefully not hitting the curb and running wide as well. Scheel! Oh, Andy Scheel lost it in the background, and he's gone across the front of Ian Manners. There's big damage there. It's really knocked that front right in. You can see that front right wheel not aligned properly. Oh, dearie me, Marcus Adams is around now. And, oh, Scheel couldn't get it off the grass and out of the wall. Marcus Adams has a moment down here. We'll pick this apart, shall we? That's what happened to Scheel. Got a great run into turn 1. I think he just loses the back end, unfortunately. We saw a few drivers do it before. It's on the downshift. It goes one way, then the other. Bang! And into the wall it is after that, because he had a big excursion across the Grass. Oh, Crispy just runs a little bit wide over the curb and hits Marcus Adams. It's very tough to keep the cars behaving through there for sure with the way that these curbs are. So Alex Davidson leads the race as, oh, well, Crispy's had his own moment a little bit after that. And he is now off the side of the road. Who's he got behind him? Pete Newman this time through here. Looking back at Pete. Is he just going to bounce over the curb? Oh, it's on the exit. Oh, he's just lit it up. Oh, and he does hit the wall quite hard, actually. It's a shame for Matthew Crisp. But here is your race leader, Alexander Davidson, once again, championship leader with a big, big advantage at the top. Over, funnily enough, the guy right behind him, Michael Hafliderson, and then Jesper Eriksson in there trying to chase down as well. Morgan Butler's having to hold off Christoph Karekis with all of his might at the moment, and with a front row seat to it all is Polish driver Maciej Sakovic, current championship leader in the AM class. With a big amount of room in front of him to gain some slipstream right now. All the way down to turn 6, you can see that the slipstream really isn't that strong actually. The commitment into there is so important. And over these curbs you've got to keep it very stable because you're braking and turning right then left. Manage the weight transfer of the car. Morgan's a little bit wide out of turn 9. But he manages to hold his position for now ahead of Christoph Karekis, who's looking racy as ever. The Hungarian driver has been certainly not backwards in coming forwards so far this season. He took a few wins in previous rounds of the championship as well. Fastest lap of the race now for Alex Davidson, a 1:20.6. He's a second quicker than Hafliderson on that lap, who's having to wait, of course, and sit behind Jesper Eriksson at this point. Karekis is no longer sitting behind Morgan Butler, though. He doesn't want to wait for anyone or mess about. He goes down the inside into turn 1. Morgan tries to afford him the room, but also tries to make sure the overlap doesn't go away. Maciej Sakovic now having to be patient. I think there was a bit of a moment there behind them for Pete Newman, who just had a bit of an excursion onto the grass. It was very close to the wall there, wasn't it, for Christoph Karekis? He holds on to his position. A little battle potentially going on further down here. Marcus Adams in 12th place, recovering after his earlier incident now. He's chasing Ian Manners. He wants a piece of the party now, and of course he was on pole position in the AM class as well, so he's going to feel very hard done by. He'll want to go forward as soon as he can. Speaking of going forward, he may continue to move forward right now, actually, if he gets past Ian Manners out of here. I don't think he's going to do it there. He's going to do it in the slipstream, though, surely. Here is second and third place, Jesper Eriksson, ahead of his countryman, Michael Hafliderson, the two Swedish drivers. They've swapped around, actually, on that previous lap. And Jesper Eriksson is now the man leading the charge, chasing down Alexander Davidson. This is how he did it. Through turn 6, 7 and 8. And, oh, Hafliderson just overdoes it slightly. Only a little bit, and Jesper was very respectful there in leaving the room around the outside. There's turn 4. Oh, goodness me. Look at Alexander Davidson, though. He's absolutely gone, isn't he? At the front of the field, he's just disappeared over the horizon for now. Just looking at the lap times, and he's done a 1:20.6 last time round. Sorry, 1:20.7 last time round, and it's all 8s from everybody else. Inside the top 4 anyway. Eriksson, Hafliderson and Karekis. And then everybody else is like 21.3s, 21.4s, and then into the 22s as well, as Jesper Eriksson has had a moment there out of the final couple of corners. And he's kissed the barrier, and Michael Hafliderson will be very happy to see that. You never want to wish that upon your opponents, though, don't get me wrong, but he'll be pleased with that. You can see Eriksson just trying to compensate for the fact that he ran deep into the right-hander. It'd be good if I got the right camera, wouldn't it? Not sure how much that's going to affect the car, though, in terms of straight line speed and damage, because it was a very side-on hit into the wall, and they can be the worst. I just heard that Colin Sansom has had a problem. He's had a moment down here at the final chicane also. Hits the curb. one way, and the other is just going to spin it on the exit. I think, yeah, just on the power. The power curve really brings its way up gradually and can catch you off guard quite quickly, actually. This is Morgan Butler. Maciej Sakovic behind him. Maciej doesn't really need to get past him here. He's got a decent gap behind. He's got about 8 seconds over James Neve, and he's got Pete Newman between him and James. So Maciej could easily sit here right now and just watch what's going on in front of him, really. He doesn't have to push past. He doesn't need to make any moves. And he's raced with Morgan for a long, long time now. So he'll know that Morgan's just going to be pushing on and focusing on his own race. He's not going to be too worried about Maciej sitting there behind him. Love the commitment into turn 1 in these cars. Look at it, the way that they have to just balance it through the apex. Maciej there straightening up the steering at points as well. But these cars are really lively little machines. They may not look it too much on the outside. I know I compliment their body language quite a lot in the way that they really do move around, and there's always something to look at with these cars. You know, it's similar to the Porsche Cup cars. They can really just display a body language of how they behave. Unfortunately, Matthew Crisp and Marcus Adams have come to blows here at the same time, I think. Separate incidents? No. Marcus Adams has gone into the wall hard. Crispy tries to... Oh. Oh, dearie me. That was not great by Crispy, I'm afraid. I'll go on board and see what it looked like. I think he was maybe just expecting Marcus's car to bounce off and roll backwards some more. And just understeers into him, unfortunately. Pete Newman then had a drama as well. I think he's just going to hit the curb and go right. Oh, wow. Big old hit of the curb one way, then the other. And then he's lost it at turn 4. Oh, no, Pete. Oh, Pete. Let's have a look at that from on board again as well. Look at this. Massive hit into the curb. I don't think it broke anything on the car, but then it just sort of rattles you for the next couple of corners. He saved it there, and then suddenly it grips. Oh, it just kisses the wall front on, and that is going to feel about as comfortable as sitting or lying on a bed of nails with a rhino on you. Just past the halfway point of the first race of the night now, and Alex Davidson, well, he's just past the border. He's disappeared up the road. He's got a 2.8 second gap, and at a circuit that has as many slipstreaming opportunities as this, that is big. Really is. Then we've got Hafliderson, Ericsson, and then Karekis is actually closing in on him. So Christoph Karekis senses a podium here, and he's not scared to push for that either. We know what Christoph's like. He's very, very fast. Definitely one of, if not the most committed driver in the series. Here we go then, into the slipstream now, down the start-finish straight. He's going to try and take a wider way into the corner to get a cutback. Back across to the left-hand side. Ericsson doesn't want to give him all the room in the world, but Karekis wants to just show him that he can get round there, but again, just not able to carry enough pace around the outside of the first part of the chicane to then get to the inside. Great attacking, though, by Christoph Karekis. And once again, he's now going to be sat in the slipstream. And there's nothing that Jesper Eriksson can do about it, because all he's going to see is this red-orange machine just close in bit by bit as they go down the back straight now on the way in towards Turn 6, the infamous, the terrifying Turn 6 at Sandown. The speed even these cars carry through there. If you've ever seen the Aussie supercar accidents in there, you know just how terrifying that corner is. Turn 9, Karekis carries so much corner speed. He really had it sorted out through there, didn't he? Ericsson's going to be shaking in his boots now. He just wants another podium. Ericsson scored 2 podiums back at Long Beach. And Karekis did as well. He won the first race of the night, actually, from Hafliderson and then Crisp. So So he knows that he's got the potential to do it again. As he gets very, very close now down the start-finish straight. He's going to try and go to the outside, but still it doesn't work for him. Again, he tries that cutback, though, and this time it's worked. He's got the overlap. Is there enough speed around the outside, though? Into turn 2. There is. Ericsson bobbles over the curb, runs wide. They lean on each other, hard on the brakes into turn 4. Oh, there is a little bit of contact, but nothing untoward there, I don't think. Ericsson's got to be careful with the right-hand side of that car. Slots in behind him and tries to make it work. Wow. Very, very close racing there. And he's going to once again come back at him now. Down the back straight to turn 6. Moves over to the right-hand side, gets one monumental run. Now this is commitment. This is commitment beyond commitment. Round the outside for Ericsson. He don't think he's going to make turn 7. He bounces over the curb. He hits Karekis, who bounces over the curb at 8. Somehow they both make the corner at 9, and Ericsson makes it into an overtaking manoeuvre. Unbelievable. I bet he's flashing his lights at that. Yep, there you go. Wow. That was very, very scary stuff. Terrifying moment for the pair of them there, but they made it work. But if I'm honest, with the way that move came about, I would sort of expect Ericsson to maybe give that back. But still, they continue on. I don't know how they both made it through there. I really don't. That was amazing. Let's see if we can have another look back at it. This is just setting it up a little bit earlier. So he gets into the slipstream, moves out to the right-hand side nice and smoothly. We're going to go onto the chopper camp. You can see there's just enough room. Turn 6 is so committed. Ericsson leaves room. He's fair. Karekis is fair as well. But just the bounce over the curb is what sets them off. And then he still somehow... I don't know how he made the corner there and still actually made it into a cutback. But it was great stuff by Karekis as well to still make the corner. Let's not forget. Now he's going to try and go around the outside at turn 6, but he's caused Ericsson to take a tighter line on the way in. Oh my goodness me, they're so squirrely on the brakes, both of them. It meant that Ericsson took a tighter line on the way in, which meant he was wide for turn 7 and then turn 8. And he might not have been able to make turn 9, but both of them just about did, shaking the car's backsides around on the brakes. Haflidasson's gone and up the road now. Michael Haflidasson's 5 seconds clear of these two. But behind them, Morgan Butler and Maciej Sakovic are working together in the slipstream to go chasing them down. So there's potential podium spots here for 4 drivers. Jesper Eriksson, Christoph Karekis, Morgan Butler and Maciej Sakovic. He's then got 16 seconds over James Neve, who is second in the AMS. It is quite spread out at the moment, unfortunately. There is your field. But race leader, Alex Davidson, well, he's on a real mission, isn't he? Last lap was a 1:20.6. It was a 21.1 for Haflidason. He's got half a second on everybody. He's the only driver still in the 1:20s, and he's only about half a tenth off his fastest lap of the race. It's amazing. Medmo saying that's a proper touring car style move there. Oh, it was. It was very, very lively racing that. But credit to both of them. They've continued on, and they've both been able to carry on racing without any major damage. You know, there was side-to-side contact, sure, but it hasn't written the cars off. Look at Morgan Butler getting in on this as well now. Give it another lap and he won't be far away at all from making a move. As Karekis, no, he throws it down the inside. It's too hard. He's trying too hard to throw it down the inside. I've said this a couple of times this season. As much as Christoph's fantastic, great bloke to speak to, and he's a real entertaining driver, he tries too hard to throw the car at people. He really tries it too hard down the inside. He doesn't need to wait, or he doesn't need to make the move there. He needs to wait and just try and get it done on the exit, but he tries to throw it across, makes contact with the back of Ericsson, goes in too hot, and then nearly overcooks it on the exit as well and collects Morgan Butler. Butler ahead now, up into 4th position, with the, I imagine, red mist of Christoph Karekis behind him. You can see the car's got dents and scrapes and bits missing all over it. Look at the body language of that car, though. It says I'm very, very determined to get through. Sakovic is going to have a fantastic view of this now. We are actually going to jump on board with Maciej Sakovic and just see how this looks from where he is. Because you've got Butler on the right, Karekis on the left. You're going up to turn 6, one of the most formidable corners in the world here at Sandown. Nearly 200 kilometres an hour. Really shows you that these cars aren't as fast in a straight line as you would have expected. Karekis being careful not to bobble over the curb. Morgan now being careful as well. Nearly loses it. Karekis goes through, but Butler, oh, he doesn't need to send it again. I think he was just struggling to get it stopped. There's contact between the two. Karekis runs wide over the curb. Flashing lights? No flashy lights. But Magic Sakovic now gets in front of the pair of them. And they pay the price for mucking about. Pete Newman, I'm afraid, has had another drama here with his already very broken car over the curb, one way then the other, spins it, and again Pete Newman's night. Oh, something's very broken there, and Pete jumps back to the pits. This is what happened between these pair. Morgan round the outside, you see him just tapping the brakes, keeping it nice and tidy. He wobbles over the curb. Karekis is somehow ahead, but he's off the circuit. Morgan then struggles to get it stopped, goes back down the inside, more and more contact. Karekis very sideways over the dirt. And somehow they have continued on racing even more. Now Sakovic has Karekis weaving about all over him, and there's contact with Morgan Butler. And they've got enough time. That was Matthew Crisp going through, but he's a lap down on them. And Majek, I think they're proving the point that he's going to sit behind Morgan and let him stay in front. So this is what happened then. So Sakovic had to get out of it, and all of a sudden Karekis closed up big time. Oh, Sakovic just gave him a tiny tap, but I think Majek was sort of maybe getting off the brakes to not get hit from behind by Karekis, because he saw how committed he was. Maybe he just had to let off slightly. Just looking now at the timing to see who is the one setting the pace, and well, you guessed it, it is Alex Davidson. 120.63 last time, 121.8 for Haflidason, so he was 1.2 seconds quicker than the car chasing him. It's just amazing pace, isn't it? Just seems completely untouchable at the front of the field at the moment. And at the top of the championship as well, we don't have Michael Evdoka out there tonight, unfortunately. Yes, I'm sure we had Michael there earlier, did we not? Or was that Morgan Butler that he was playing with? So Haflidason now in second place has got 6 seconds back to Jesper Eriksson, and there is that gap. As, oh, dearie me, it's already finishing. Alex Davidson takes the first win of the night in round 19. Weaves across the line, he'll be very happy. I thought we still had 1 lap left to go. Haflidason in second place. Big points for him as well in the championship. Jesper Eriksson finishing in third. And Christoph Karekis makes it back to fourth. Matthew Crisp was a lap down in the end, so he's not there for position. Morgan Butler is going to finish in fifth, and Majek Sakovic is going to be the car in sixth, and he is going to take the AM win in this round of the championship, and he will be over the moon with that one. Very well deserved result indeed. James Neve is going to be next up. He's going to finish in seventh, and Haflida Johansson, he's going to get another podium in the AM class. Very, very well done. He's worked hard to develop his pace and really get involved into this championship, and Hafley has certainly got it done. Now, it's a great, great night so far if your surname finishes with Son, because we've had Davidson, Haflidason and Eriksson in the top 3 in the pro class. Sakovic, of course, taking the win in AM from his championship rival James Neve, and then Johansson, as we see there, taking third in his class. Let's very quickly move over to the spinny wheel, shall we? Oh, look, there's the broadcast. Oh, God. I'm definitely not well. My head's not with it. Anyway, we're going to spin the wheel, and we're going to see what the reverse grid is going to be for the first time this evening. This is how many drivers get reversed. It's probably going to be a full one, and it is going to be 19. So that means that we're going to now have the whole field reversed for the next race of the evening. And what I'm going to do is grab you some race results, and we'll have a look at how that one finished. Alex Davidson takes the win then. Michael Hefliderson in second, ahead of Jesper Eriksson in third place. Then we have Christoph Karekis in fourth position. He did a great job in that one. Next up behind him was Morgan Butler. Very lively race between those guys as well. I'm sure there might be some words between them after that, but still, I don't think it was all too bad, to be fair. It's just all is fair in love and war, as they say. Maciej Sakovic takes the win in the AM class from James Neven, Haflida Johansson. Colin Sansom finishes in ninth ahead of Ian Manners, who rounds out your 10. And then the cars that were one lap down were Matthew Cresp and Pete Newman, with Marcus Adams and Andy Shield not finishing the race. So it's about that time, everybody, where we're just going to go for a quick break here on Chaz Draycott Media. We're going to pause the music and we're going to go to some adverts, and then we will be back with you in a few, and then we'll get the next round of the championship underway. Don't go anywhere.
Four French drivers at the French Grand Prix trying to win this on the final lap. They're three wide again. Guillaume down the inside. Guillaume moves across. They're both in front of Milan and Pouget. Before you know it, we find ourselves here in the very final race of the competition.
And then they see truck racing and they think, this is crazy. You know, these are 5-ton machines, 1,200 horsepower brake.
Oh, look at that switchback. Oh, you can look and a drift to go out.
Ben Gregory now. I love this. 10.5 minutes gone. Senna Lanson tries to go for the race lead.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Okay, everybody, we're just getting into the second session of the evening, and then we'll bring you more action from the World Sim Racing World GR86 Series in just a minute's time.
all the wrongs and every reason why we've changed. And there's a storm inside my head, it's getting me in trouble, baby, and I can't break away. I thought that I could keep it low, take it easy, take it slow. We ended up just like before, so take it easy, take it easy. I thought that I could keep it low, take it easy, take it slow. We ended up just like before, so take it easy.
Hello again, everybody. Chaz Draycott here for the World Sim Racing World GR86 series from Sandown. We're here for the 7th round of the season, 7th race meeting of the season, I should say. And, well, we've had a fantastic time so far. And I'm certainly looking forward to seeing what the drivers can do now with the reverse grid to think about. And if I'm honest with you, it could be quite the lively race because we're going to have drivers coming through with the slipstream to make their way forward. And we're going to have a number of drivers that will potentially want to hold on to said position at the front and not just roll over and let the quicker drivers come through. We're just finishing the warm-up session right now, which is, well, only about a minute away from ending. And Matthew Crisp is one man that's going to be hoping for a much better ride, isn't he, as this evening goes on, because he didn't have the best of times in that first race earlier, and I know that he's going to be certainly hoping to prove a point at least as the evening progresses. Just looking up and down the times, and James Neve actually has just improved on his lap time and gone further forward in the standings. He's now the fastest AM in this session, but of course this doesn't count for race pace or anything at this point. They just need to make sure that they get used to the conditions, because even, you know, from one session to the next, the conditions can change very quickly. And even if that subtle change happens, you could just not be ready for it as a driver, and it can really affect your race and, to be honest, throw quite the curveball your way when it comes to it. And there you go, session is over. And now we're going to get our grid for the second time tonight. It's going to be Pete Newman on pole position from Matthew Crisp. Those two are sure to have a good battle at the front of the field. Ian Manners and Colin Sanson will start on the second row from Herflida Johansson and James Neve. Maciej Sakovic will start in 7th with Morgan Butler in 8th. Then we have Krzysztof Korekis 9th and Jesper Eriksson 10th. Michael Herfliderson and Alex Davidson will make up the top 12 with Marcus Adams and Andy Scheel 13th and 14th. Now I wonder, I think it's because you've got to be a certain number of laps down, I think, to sort of qualify for the reverse grid. So I think because those guys were not within a certain range of the rest of the field, they were not eligible for being reversed on the grid. So, second race of the night then, just about to get underway. Round 20 of the World Sim Racing World GR86 Series gets underway at Sandown. And it looks like a nice tidy start from both drivers on the front row. Looks like the second row both bobbled back quite a bit here. James Neve moves out to driver's right in the middle of the pack. And is Crispy going to go around Pete Newman here? I think he is. No, he's not. Pete Newman's going to go deep, though. And oh my goodness me, Ian Manners is backwards in front of the field. Somehow manages to get away with it. But James Neve is off. James Neve, the championship hopeful in the AM standings, is off the road already. And how is Maciej Sakovic getting on? Because he is stuck behind Johansson in the middle of this. Maciej's lost loads of places as well. Oh, he was just parked on the apex on the inside there, and he's not been able to do anything with it. Crispy and Newman are gone. Sansom now side by side with Morgan Butler for third position. Sansom with his new wheel and pedals and CPU and all sorts, trying to make the most of this evening. He needs to leave a little bit more room than that down the inside of Krzysztof Korekis. Oh, goodness me, that's Jesper Eriksson having a moment and a half. How on earth? What? Stop it. Jesper, stop it. How on God's earth did you get that stopped? I would love to know. Oh, my Christ. Prepare for a wild ride, ladies and gentlemen, because Jesus... This was, I mean, I don't want to say ropey, but, I mean, come on. Into turn 6, Korekis down the inside of Sansom. Sansom gets a bit of a wobble on there, actually. And then Jesper's wide, hits the curb one way, then the other. Oh, my. Wow. Jesper, I mean, that's probably save of the season, is it not? That's surely up there for save of the season. Matthew Crisp has taken the race lead off Pete Newman. We need to look at this. He's going to just do it in this slipstream. He's going to pull out to the left-hand side, I'm sure, and nicely glide past down the start-finish straight. The slipstream isn't huge in these cars, but it's enough to to still make the move easier in a slipstreaming environment like that. They both go through turn 1 now. They've got 2.3 seconds over Christoph Karekis, and they need to make sure they hold that gap as well, because Christoph will definitely be in a position to go for the race win here. Colin Sansom leading the AM class in this race so far. He's right up behind championship leader Alex Davidson. He's just in front of Andy Shiel as well. So if he does anything naughty, then he's in line of sight of the referee. Marcus Adams is joined by his fellow fluoro yellow and bright green enthusiast Maciej Sakovic, as Morgan Butler has come into the... Oh, no, he's not come into the pits. He is ended up in the pits, I think is the best way of putting it. This was earlier, sorry. This is Morgan entering the pit lane. He's in there with Christoph Karekis. Through the right-hander. Too much curb. Too much curb. Oh no, watch this. To the left and then to... Oh no, he's hit the wall. Right, I thought he was going to spin to the left and then to the right, but he's just let it run wide and not been able to compensate for it, I'm afraid. And all of a sudden, Morgan Butler is out of this race. So we continue on. Michael Hofleidison, after the last race, was saying at Alex Davidson, slow down. And he just said, you're too close to me to slow down. So clearly they... Oh my goodness me, they're monstering that curb there. Clearly they know that Alex is just unbeatable at points like this. Colin Sansom has now been overtaken by Andy Shiel, but he continues to lead the AM class. He's got Andy doing a little bit of agricultural driving over on the right hand side there. Colin's still just sitting behind now and a little bit deep into there. It's almost like they're hitting the ABS into there and the car sort of straightens up. He just can't quite get it as turned in as Andy can, and to be honest, he's got Maciej Sakovic right behind him now, who's going to want to take this AM class lead. Look at the slipstreaming going on now. Colin running up behind Andy. He knows that he needs to get as much slipstream as he can, almost as a defence mechanism, so he doesn't have to give Maciej any. And look, they've both gone deep. Maciej's just going to drive past him, although he had a bit of a wobble on the exit, and I think Marcus Adams wants a piece of the pie now as well. He's going to have a different line to these pair. It's all a bit concertinaed. He gets on with it. Now onto the back straight. They go down towards turn 6. That's the little kink at turn 5. Hofleidison has just got past ahead of Jesper Eriksson further up, and Karekis has gone past Pete Newman for second. Actually, we need to look at this. He's got it done just before turn 6. And then the two Swedes in the background now. Hofleidison ahead of Eriksson. Watch out for Karekis going for a race win here. He's definitely got the pace to do it. Let's have a look back at this. It's stayed in the same order for now. Maciej nearly into the back of the year 1 car. Colin Sansom just continuing on at the minute, doing what he can do. Into the final chicane. Turn 11, then 12. Oh, he stops on the apex. He's not having a good time of it, is Colin right now. As, oh no, Andy Shiel's off the road. Shiel went off in front of them. So I think maybe Colin was reacting to that. Oh, Andy's hit the curb very hard, and he's gone too quick into the second part of the chicane. Oh, and he corrects the oversteer, and bang, into the wall. We'll go back to this, though, because now Maciej Sakovic and Marcus Adams are both ahead of Colin Sansom. And Marcus, after starting on pole position in the AM class in the first race, will definitely be after glory now. As for the lead, Karekis already on Matthew Crisp. Wow, I was thinking it was going to be a couple of laps before we saw these two dicing at all. And before you know it, Karekis now side by side with Crispy, making it work. Oh no, there's contact between the two. I think Crispy just ran a little bit wide. Karekis still tried to tuck the car in through turn 7, and just, again, he didn't need to. It's a great overtaking opportunity, but it doesn't need to with the slipstream here. Pete Newman wasn't much of a threat to them a moment ago. And all of a sudden, he has become that once again. Now, this is the battle between Jesper Eriksson and Alex Davidson. Championship leader there, just sat behind us. Oh, never mind. Over the curb they go. Well, let's go back up to the front, though, because Matthew Crisp is surely going to get overtaken by Christoph Karekis, but he just needs to not overdo it, does Christoph. Again, he was just pushing a little bit too hard, I think. Into turn 7. Oh, Colin Sansom's had a drama. Collins had a drama out of the final corners, and that car's very damaged, and I think he's going to find that out when he gets to turn 1. Hopefully he realises before then, though. He's still accelerating, so he clearly doesn't think there's that much wrong as Karekis slides down the inside. Charlie Cox would have called that a wet and dry rub in the 90s, but wow. Very nip and tuck stuff, very close together. Please don't make it 3 wide, Pete. Pete's pushing along now. He's giving in the slipstream. This is NASCAR-style stuff at Talladega. Pete's sitting there behind Karekis. Sakovic has been off. Sakovic has had a drama, though, and he's dropped down out of the lead of the AM class. Karekis goes around the outside into the lead as, yep, Newman slots into second now behind Crispy. Then he's got his teammate Michael Haflidason. Then Jesper Eriksson still holding on ahead of Alex Davidson. We've got 6 cars for the lead. But let's have a look at what happened to Magic Sakovic. Oh, is he going to do this all on his own? He's going to hit the curb or something. Oh, that's upset it one way then the other. No, Magic. Oh, it's a big hit into the wall as well. I'm not sure what the damage is like along the front of the car, but still, that's going to feel like death. And he does go straight over the chicane as well. See, that's the quick thinking you need there. Magic went straight over the grass. He knew he was going to get a slowdown or something anyway. He knew he wouldn't be up to speed. Why would he drive in the middle of the circuit and block the other competitors coming through? That was really good quick thinking by Magic there. He thought, you know what, these guys are having their race still. I'm not going to get in the way. I'm going to carry on doing what I'm doing and just make myself as little a nuisance as possible here. We ride on board with Alex Davidson, championship leader, 6th place outright in this race. And he's got a train of cars in front of him here that he needs to be very wary of. The car in front is Jesper Eriksson. Michael Haflidason in 4th, Matthew Crisp in 3rd, Pete Newman 2nd, Christoph Karekis leads the race. Newman is side by side with Karekis for the lead though, as you see there. He's down the inside. Are either of them going to give? I doubt it. I absolutely doubt it. Karekis over the curb on the right, still holds on to the lead. Newman's very close to the back of him, and look at this as well. Eriksson is very close to the back of Haflidason, and Davidson is back behind him once again. This is all going to check up here, and look, Davidson's going to set himself up for the run on the exit. He's going to go over to the right as much as he can and get the slingshot off the corner as Newman's gone wide now, and he's going to lose ground to Crispy. And ahead of all of this is Morgan Butler. He's going to definitely be hoping not to get caught up in this. As down the inside goes Newman on Crispy. He's run wide and gives him a bit of a rub. Oh no, Davidson. Wow. Alex Davidson around. What on earth caused that? So Crisp goes down the inside of Pete Newman, but Alex Davidson, I think maybe getting on the brakes to avoid the back of the car in front. Does he have to adjust mid-corner? Oh, I think he does actually make contact with the back of Jesper Eriksson, and whoa, a horrible bunch of noises all come together there for Alex Davidson, who now needs to put the pace back in to get back up behind this lot. Crispy and Haflidason battling has actually really thrown this wide open here, and to be fair, a few of them got past Pete Newman after that moment. So this was Pete Newman on the inside, Crispy on the outside. Crispy makes it stick down the inside now for the next corner, I'm sure. Oh, and there's just big contact into the next part of the corner, and Pete gets a slowdown penalty for it. They tried to go too wide, and Crispy tried to give him room, but he just hit the curb in doing that. And I think these guys, by the 3rd race tonight, they'll have learned to probably not try and go through these chicanes too wide. It's great racing, but at the end of the day, all they're doing is compromising one another and making life harder for them. Eriksson still in 4th place now, hoping to get ahead of Crispy or Haflidason, the 2 teammates, and Haflidason's had an issue there. Car was wiggling a little bit on the exit. Eriksson just glances the back, and look at that, lifts. Oh, nearly goes into the rear quarter again, but he knows that, again, it's going to be compromised if he does that. So he sits behind, and he's working together with the guys now. I think he was doing that more to prove the point and show them, look, I'm willing to work with you here. Let's go catching Christoph at the front of the field. Crispy and Michael will definitely be doing that as well. Hard onto the brakes they go. Oh, it was nearly an oversteery moment there for Jesper Eriksson. You can see how much the car wanted to still drag itself over to the right-hand side of the circuit. But they go down the start-finish straight once again. GR86 now leads this race. He's on the 10th lap here at Sandown in race 2, round 20 of the World Sim Racing World GR86 Series. Look at the way this car just eats up those curbs. It certainly does bounce around, but it's a little car, so it will do. But it certainly does handle them pretty well. There's still shenanigans going on behind him, though, and Jesper Eriksson has got a front row seat of the two teammates pushing each other around. Side by side now, though, as Jesper Eriksson tries to take advantage. He goes down the inside into turn 6. Gets ahead of Crispy. Just trying to check the timings here, because last lap was a 21.1 by GR86. But Eriksson was a lot quicker than both the cars that were ahead of him, which is, of course, Fliderson and Crisp. But it's not much in terms of a difference. And Alex Davidson's doing 20.9s behind this, so he's still the man setting the pace. But now Pete Newman's dropped away from this. They could potentially use each other's slipstream to move forward together again. There's a lot going on here. There's definitely a lot going on, isn't there? Pete Newman's had even more going on as he loses the back end of the car through the chicane. This is close stuff, isn't it? Now, Davidson is the car that ends up in front, and he can now break away and pass Pete Newman. Obviously, the two of them at Pure Sims, they're not in the same team in this championship as such, but it's Pure Sims Esports and Pure Sims SimLab, so they are working together at this point, and well, Pete's not getting in the way of his teammates' championship hopes because Michael Evdoka is not here tonight to help him out. Alexander Davidson, that is. He's not here to help him out, so he knows that Alex is the one that's putting the pace in and trying to push forward as best he can. James Neve here needs to push forward as best as he can because he's got Marcus Adams 8 seconds up the road. He's got Ian Manners and then Maciej Sakovic. The recovering Maciej Sakovic sat behind him. Maciej in the slipstream. Ian Manners doing a good job in 3rd place in class at the moment. Turn 1, you can see Ian really closing in on James Neve. And there's just so much potential for an incident anywhere around this lap. The thing is, when they're closing on each other and sitting this close to each other, it's just, they're playing with fire. Oh. And I'm afraid Colin Sansom there is playing with the tyre wall, and I don't think that should be driven much further, to be honest, Colin. I mean, the steering looks straight, but well, his wheel's not moving on our screen actually, which is odd. Not quite sure why that is, but I imagine he is not steering that car straight right now because it's very broken, and I think we're about to witness a large accident. Yes, you need to stop that car, please, Colin. Not quite sure what went on there. He's determined to get it going again, but I think maybe out of frustration a little bit there, just driving it into the wall, and he's still trying to reverse that thing, but it's destroyed, Colin. Give it up, son. He's determined to carry on, but I don't know why, because that is not going to be going anywhere. GR86 leads 3.2 seconds over Fliderson. Eriksson 3rd, Crispin 4th. The three of them still working-ish with each other. I know that the guys do tend to speak to each other quite a lot in Discord while they're racing, and they communicate, let each other know what they're doing and what they plan on doing as the race develops. But right now, it's Hafliderson that is needing the championship points to go chasing after Alex Davidson. I don't think he's going to get enough to close it down in this round anyway. He needs a bigger field really, and more of a chance for Davidson to drop points, as Ian Manners goes ahead of James Neve temporarily for second place in the AM class. Sakovic flying into shot behind the pair of them, waiting to pick up the pieces. And Manners now looks down the inside a bit. Majek's going to get a good run out of here, but it's not going to be enough to the final chicane, I don't think. It's quite a short run into this chicane. And Neve remains in front for now. Just Manners trying not to overdo it. He's going to try and line himself up for a clean run. Don't monster that curb too much, but Sakovic gets a great slingshot off the final corner. And Sakovic is in a good place to... Oh, I was going to say he's in a good place to get the slipstream from James Neve, but you can bet that James is not going to give Majek the slipstream out of the two of them, because Majek is leading the AM Championship at the moment from James. They were first and second earlier on in the AM class in the first race of the night. As a little bit of contact between the two. And they're still side by side into the next chicane as well. Sakovic around the outside. Oh, Ian monsters the curb again. Loses the rear end slightly. And that is done for another day. This is just out of turns 7 and 8 into 9. Jesper Eriksson still in front of Hafliderson. Actually, I say still. Jesper Eriksson has moved in front of Michael Hafliderson, sorry. Matthew Crisp behind them now, once again with the front row seat. Crispy, ever the bridesmaid in this championship. He's always up there, but doesn't have the look or the breakthrough at the moment. Here's that slipstream. I think he's just going to push his teammate. No, he's going to try and overtake him. And you could hear Michael there backing out of it. He says, fine, you go through. Do what you want to do. And they live to fight another day together. There's only 30 seconds left of this race as well, actually. So Karekis is going to be able to take a very well-deserved win, actually, if he still just behaves himself at the front. You could argue it was a robust way in coming forward, but we've seen that from Christoph all season. It's not always been beyond the rule book, though. He's been doing a good job of it in a lot of races, and his pace is phenomenal. And you will see him challenging for the final sort of spot on the podium, at least in the Drivers' Championship, I'd say, into the last couple of meetings. We've still got 3 meetings to go after this. Manicor, Twin Ring, Motegi, and then Daytona to round out the championship, where we hope to see more cars, and where I'm sure Christoph Karekis hopes to see more wins like this one. Round 20 of the championship goes the way of Hungarian Christoph Karekis. Great drive. Jesper Eriksson finishes in second place, and Matthew Crisp gets a podium after a disappointing first round of the night. Hafliderson was next up with Alex Davidson, and then into the final corner. Wow, Davidson does the fastest lap of the race on the last lap. Round the final corner, though, Marcus Adams will take the honours in the AM Championship, or at least in the AM Championship for this race. And second place is going to go the way of James Neve, just beating Majek Sakovic to the line. Very close between those guys. Ian Manners finishing just behind after he slightly fell off near the end of the race. So back to it then. Let's go on to our wheel of names, and we're going to do the draw for the reverse grid, the final one of the evening. And it's going to be a solid 15. So we're going to get the whole field again. And there was a couple of cars that were a few laps down. Andy Scheel and Colin Sansom. Oh, I'm interested to see if Colin Sansom makes it onto the reverse grid, actually. We'll have to wait and see on that one. But here are your race results then for round 20 of the World Sim Racing World GR86 Series. Christoph Karekis takes the win from Jesper Eriksson, and then Matthew Crisp, who finishes in third. That's a big improvement on how his first race of the evening went, isn't it? And then in fourth place was Michael Hafliderson, ahead of Alex Davidson, who could have potentially challenged for a podium spot there. if he hadn't have had that spin. Marcus Adams was 6th ahead of James Neve. Those two first and second in the AM class, just ahead of Maciej Sakovic. Ian Manners in 9th. And then Pete Newman rounds out your top 10. Alfleda Johansson finishes 11th. Morgan Butler was only 1 lap down. Colin Sanson was 3 laps down come the end. And Andy Shield did not finish the race, but was still classified in 14th position. So some of those drivers will not be eligible for the reverse grid, which is something that we need to keep our eye on, of course, and hope for them that they are eligible and we can put people right at the front of the grid. But what I'm going to do now is just take a quick break here on Chaz Draycott Media. Going to get everything set up for the final race of the night. I'll be back with you in just a few. Don't go away. Sorry, I don't really know what that was.
4 French drivers at the French Grand Prix trying to win this on the final lap. The 3 wide again, Guillaume down the inside. Guillaume moves across, they're both in front of Milan and Pouget.
But before you know it, we find ourselves here in the very final race of the competition. And then they see truck racing and they think, this is crazy, you know, these are 5-ton machines, 1,200 horsepower brake.
Oh, look at that switchback. Oh, he's been moved and a switch to show off.
Gregory now, I love this. 10.5 minutes gone. Senna Lanson tries to go for the race lead.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
at the start. Halfway through a bottle, baby, nothing enough. I thought that I could keep it low. Take it easy, take it slow. We ended up just like before. So take it easy, take it easy. I thought that I could keep it low. Take it easy, take it slow. We ended up just like before. So take it easy. And you know how to forget all the wrongs and every reason why we've changed. And there's a storm inside my head. It's getting me in trouble, baby, and I can't break away. I thought that I could keep it low. Take it easy, take it slow. We ended up just like before. So take it easy, take it easy. I thought that I could keep it low. Take it easy, take it slow. We ended up just like before. So take it easy.
I can feel I'm changing. I don't know if I'll ever go back. All the ways that you make me, build me up on the things I lack. I don't ever wanna lose you now. 'Cause I don't think I'll make it here now. 'Cause it's you and only you. 'Cause it's you and only you. I don't know where the time goes, it just flies when I hold you close. In my arms with your eyes closed, for the first time I've got hope. I don't ever wanna lose you now. I don't think I'll make it here now. I don't ever wanna lose you now. I don't think I'll make it here now. 'Cause it's you and only. 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 it's you and only you.
Hello again, everybody. Chaz Draycott here for the final race of the night in the World Sim Racing World GR86 series. Hope you're all having a fantastic evening so far. Hope you're enjoying the show. Thank you very much for joining me so far, and I am certainly looking forward to this last race of the night. Let us know in the chat whether you're on YouTube, Facebook or Twitch. Who are you supporting this evening? Who are you here to cheer on? And who, on the other hand, do you think may win this race in each class as well? I know that there's a lot of fantastic people out there that they have the confidence and the belief in the drivers that they support to win these races and get results, but I know also there's some fantastic sportsmen out there and people with great sportsmanship, I'm supposed to say, that know that it's not always going to go the way of the people that they're supporting, and there may be others that could take the honours. We've got only a couple of drivers have been out so far in this sort of warm-up session between races, and only a few have put times on the board. Newman, Neve, Johansson, Adams and now Manners, and I believe Morgan Butler's about to put one on the board as well. He goes fastest with a 1:21.329. There's only about 30 seconds left of this session though, and then we are good to go for the last 20-minute race of this evening. The drivers get a total of an hour's race time over the course of these nights. They get a good half hour in terms of the warm-up sessions and practice sessions, and another 20-minute qualifying to go with it as well. So you do get a lot of track time in the WSR leagues. There's a lot to play for as well. And of course we always thank our sponsor Butt Kicker and Mr. Hedge iRacing Photography as well. Majek said good lap, that last lap got spicy. Good racing to James and Ian. Ian Manners says the car is fine, not sure about the track. And there we go, the session is over. And that's now going to mean that we are lining up for the final time this evening here at Sandown. And it's my mate Morgan Butler on the front row with Haflidy Johansson alongside him. Hafley has tried to jump out of the way before, so it will be interesting to see what he does, whether he does hold anybody up in doing so. If he goes for that tactic anyway. Pete Newman third alongside Ian Manners on row 2. Then Magic Sakovic and James Neve head-to-head from row 3. Marcus Adams is in 7th with Alex Davidson alongside him. Then it's Michael Hafliderson and Matthew Crisp, the teammates, on the 5th row. Christoph Karekis and Jesper Eriksson make up row 6. And then at the back of the field, we have Colin Sansom and series admin Andy Shield. So we're just about ready to go then. I think we're just waiting for one more car, and typically, again, it is Alexander Davidson that we wait for. And he will pop up on the right-hand side of the grid, our left-hand side of the grid, actually. He will be directly in front of this man, and boop, there he is. There's Matthew Crisp that we were just on board with there. But the lights are going to come on, and for the final time tonight, we're about to get racing. So, round 21 of the WSR World GR86 Series from Sandown is underway. Looks like a solid start by Morgan Butler. He jumps off the line. It didn't look like a great getaway from Magic Sakovic from the 3rd row of the grid. I think he's going to potentially lose a place to Alex Davidson. Everyone shuffles around, tries to find room, tries to find somewhere to make moves. Pete Newman goes up into 2nd place. In the middle of it all, it's looking a bit dicey here. We go onto the chopper cam for it. You can see Davidson sitting behind James Neve there. Karekis trying to go around Marcus Adams. Crispy side by side with him, and Sakovic has dropped it. Magic Sakovic drops it. Crispy tries everything he can to stay ahead of Karekis, hits the back of Marcus Adams, but Magic Sakovic has dropped it on his own. The AM Championship leader has thrown it away, and now James Neve in the black and orange work guard by result car can break away and claim back big championship points over his main rival. He's just got to hope that this race is not too attritional and that drivers behave themselves, and let's hope these two behave themselves. Karekis ahead of Crisp, and then you've got Hafliderson and Shield in there as well. But at the front of the pack, it's Morgan Butler that has taken the early advantage here ahead of his teammate Pete Newman. Let's not forget these two were battling for a race win together at Silverstone in the very first race of the championship. Pete went for a move on the last lap. The two of them came together and threw the win to Naveed Hussain, who unfortunately we haven't seen in the championship since that meeting. Shield around the outside of Ericsson, then down the inside of Flyderson. Oh, he hits the curb, big wobble on the exit there, side by side now on the exit, and it looks like Ericsson's going to get the run. And as the field naturally moves over to the right-hand side, I don't think Shield's going to have much in terms of slipstream. He is not. Karekis now side by side with James Neve, and look at that just in front. Alex Davidson side by side with Ian Manners as well. 3 wide into turn 1. This isn't going to work, boys. It's not going to work, boys. It's not going to work, boys. Alex Davidson somehow makes it work, boys. Fantastic job. As, oh no, Shield's off. Whoa, and big time. Jesper Ericsson's off. Massive, and I mean massive impact into the barrier there for Jesper Ericsson. Oh, Karekis. Karekis is off as well. He's had drama and contact. And now Johansson's off. Oh, no one wants to finish the race. It's only lap 2, boys. What on earth happened to Andy Shield, though? I think maybe he and Ericsson. Someone misjudged their braking or something here. Did Ericsson brake early to compromise for the corner? Whoa, Shields just nailed him in the rear. And Ericsson has a frighteningly big side-on hit into the wall. And then Christoph Karekis, I think, may have turned across the front of Haflider Johansson. Go back to El Chopperino because this is a great camera for. Oh no, well, he didn't need to make it 3 wide. Yeah, he tries to go through the middle, and again, he's his own worst enemy in those situations, is Karekis. You know, he didn't have to go through the middle like that. Johansson's just trying to stay out of the way, like I said. You know, he's just trying to be courteous to the other drivers around him here and give them room to get on with their own race and not affect them. And unfortunately, he just gradually slid off the road slightly there. But Morgan Butler is going to be happy as can be right now, leading the race. Pete Newman just behind him. Pete's going to sit with him, though, here. I can tell you that for free. Oh, Colin Sansom's off the road. Colin's had another trying evening. He's had a very trying championship, to be fair, and now he's trying to get used to different hardware as well, while also trying to relearn the car and improve his pace. I've only just noticed the wing end plates on Matthew Crisp's car. He's flashing the lights now, but they've got this sort of red, white and blue that the RAF used to have on the tails of their aircraft. And still do have on some of them, actually, as well. As down the inside goes Crispy on Ian Manners. Michael Hafliderson, his teammate, wants to come with him. Around the outside into 7 and through into 8. Oh, I think he got a little bit of a tap there as well. Just for encouragement on the way through. James Neve behind this now, wants a bit of this. He's looking interested. Car 7 is P7. Maciej Sakovic has gained a bit more time back after Shield, Karekis and Ericsson have all retired from this race. Oh, dearie me. Bit of a wobble there by James Neve. He's certainly going to gain a few places back on Maciej if the race finishes like this, but it's not going to be easy to claw back a big chunk of them when it's a smaller field like this. All Maciej needs to do, really, is sort of finish this race. And he's definitely got the pace to overtake Johansson. Don't think he's got the pace to overtake Adams on merit in this race because of the distance between the two of them. There's 6 and a bit seconds between those pair. But at the moment, Marcus isn't involved in a fight, and if he gets involved in a fight and in a battle, then of course he's going to naturally get held up. Good day for Pure Sims at the moment, well, especially in this race. Morgan Butler, he's a privateer in this championship, but of course does race for Pure Sims. Pete Newman in second place for Pure Sims SimLab, and Alex Davidson in third position for Pure Sims Esports. Then it's the 2 AM Racing team cars of Crisp and Hafliderson, and then Ian Manners leading the way in the AM class at the moment, as you see at the top of your screen there with that little graphic. I think, to be fair, Morgan and Newman will sort of work together here. They're not going to try and get away from Alex Davidson, but I think these guys will all race each other as this goes on. There's no reason for them not to at the end of the day. They could just get on with it and enjoy themselves. Just waiting to see what sort of times Davidson can do in these following laps. He's just on a 1:20.5, which was an entire second quicker than Morgan Butler, and he was 9/10 quicker than Pete Newman just in front of him. And look at Pete now putting the pressure on his teammate, stablemate at least, Morgan Butler. Ian Manners is still just ahead of James Neve, only about half a second between that pairing. And then Marcus Adams is 8th ahead of Haflida Johansson. Colin Sansom is the one at the back of the pack, but Maciej Sakovic is rounding out the top 10 at the minute. Look at that, it's just a lift into there. It's a big lift, but it's a lift. They're not braking until turn 8, which is a little left kink. As Pete gets so close to the back of Morgan, he's overdone it. He's overdone it into there as Pete, and he's thrown away second place. Alex Davidson goes through, and it's going to be more than just second place for Pete. As through goes Haflidason, through goes Crisp. What about the battle for the AM lead behind him? I don't think Manners is going to catch up. But Pete Newman just tried it that little bit too hard, didn't he? We'll go on board with Morgan Butler, and you can see I don't think there was contact. It was close, but I don't think there was contact. Oh, I don't know, actually. I think it was maybe just on the downshift that the car went around like that. We've seen it so many times this season that the car gets upset by said downshift. And unfortunately, in this case, Pete Newman has now lost a bunch of positions because of that. But that battle behind him is very, very tasty, isn't it? Ian Manners and James Neve. Ian's been holding his ground very well so far this season, as Pete has another moment in front of them. But Ian Manners has been doing a good job. I first commentated on Ian in the Nevo TCR series last season. As Davidson's gone to the front here. He's overtaken Morgan Butler. He's gone down the inside. Morgan's bounced over the curb. Davidson concedes it again. He knows that Morgan was going to bounce over the curb as well. And the battle continues on. Colin Sansom's had a minor excursion somewhere. I think maybe just going off the road into the chicane. Is that car damaged? I don't think it is. I think he's just going to go a little bit too hot into here. Yes, and around to the right. Oh, dearie me. Just hits the barrier and carries on. We've seen that Colin will drive a car with 3 wheels on it, basically, if it means finishing the race. So we know he's committed. Here goes Alex Davidson. There goes Alex Davidson. And here comes Alex Davidson. And in Morgan's mind, there goes Alex Davidson. Although Morgan commits to the outside. No, Morgan Butler turns in, and don't know if he was leaving enough room for his teammate there. He needs to be careful with the rejoin, though, because he's going to be on the racing line in front of Haflidason and Crisp. Oh, I was expecting him to sort of sit it on the grass for a little bit longer through there and just make sure he stayed out of the way, but wow. Let's have a look at it again. Look at that. They're rubbing on the way down into 6, 7, 8 and 9. I think, to be fair, they were probably just having a laugh with each other at this point. That's into turn 6 on the previous lap. Not giving up an inch there, are they? And then Alex Davidson gets back past him down the start-finish straight. He had his little blink in and out. I think Morgan turns in here. On initial look, it looked like... I don't know if either of them could have done much about that, because it's a really tightened up line on the way in. Then was this scary moment, though, as Morgan rejoins on the line. I think it was amplified by the fact that Haflidason, of course, was on the curb and already having a moment anyway. But it certainly looked extra scary. Haflidason now 2nd, Crisp 3rd, Butler 4th, Newman 5th, Ian Manners in 6th place, still ahead of James Neve in the AM Championship battle, as Sakovic is now ahead of Haflidason and has gone further up the road. Sorry, Johansson, apologies. There is Sakovic. Next target, Marcus Adams. The gap, 4 seconds at the moment. Marcus did a 1:22.32 that time round. Sakovic did a 1:21.8, so half a second quicker. Now, my apologies to Maciej Sakovic, because I said earlier that I didn't think he'd have the pace to catch up with Marcus on merit throughout this race, but he's definitely proving me wrong at the moment, and he does like proving me wrong, does Maciej? He's good at it. There's Davidson, though, back up at the front. He won the first race of the night. Didn't get on the podium in the second race after that spin. But now he's going to be excited to be right up there once again. Haflidason, Crisp and Butler all together now. Morgan's going to be trying to get back whatever he can from these pair in front of him. He's not going to want to let anything slip now. No opportunities can go by. Started at the front of the field. He wanted to stay there. Down through the gears. Big clunk of the gearbox in this car. Now he got it all the way down to first gear there, just to make sure that he was high in the rev range to use all the power. And that's the thing in these cars, you have to be so on it with your gearing and make sure that you've got it in the right sort of rev range, because it's very easy to lose this car on the downshift, as we've seen. You just need to make sure that you're not going to overdo it when you're trying to change down and get round corners with these cars. They're using so much curb, aren't they? Really using all the track limits here at Sandown, and it's a narrow place, really. It's a very narrow circuit in a lot of places. Back on board with Morgan Butler then, down the back straight towards turn 6. He's not completely in the slipstream there, but he's just filling the mirrors of Matthew Crisp that little bit, just to remind him that he's there at the moment, just to say, look, I'm not going anywhere at this moment in time, Sunshine. I'm still going to fill your mirrors and be a part of this battle. Through turn 6, long left-hander, little right kink at 7, left kink at 8, and it's basically a straight line braking zone into turn 9. Again, Morgan Butler in second gear this time, so not into first. Sometimes it's better to be in a higher gear so you can carry a bit more momentum, not have to worry about the extra upshift, because the engine braking affects how the car turns in. It may make it feel like it turns in better, but that's because it's slowing the car down more naturally. Here's your lead battle in the AM class. James Neve all over the back of Ian Manners once again. And he's ensuring that Ian doesn't get away because of the slipstream here. Alan Luth in the chat saying, looking good, Rob. Not quite sure which Rob he means, to be honest with you. Oh, Rob Padgham's in the chat as... Oh, Pete Newman's in the wall. And Pete Newman is now going to be out of the race, I believe. He's had a bit of a torrid night of it recently. There's Pete Newman. And he won't be too chuffed with that one either. This was already after the moment had gone on. So Ian Manners going past him. Let's see. Oh, he's lost the back end. And then he's... Yeah, it's just like what he had earlier. Just that slow overcorrection, and the car gains so much grip from the front end. And Pete Newman, unfortunately, now out of this race. The battle continues on then for second, third and fourth. And it's Michael Herfliderson being chased by his teammate Matthew Crisp. They may be in different liveries, but they've teamed up to each other, or teamed up with each other for this championship as AM Racing Team. Morgan Butler sitting behind them has lost a bit of ground there. He's about 0.6 of a second back now, and I don't think he's going to fall out of slipstream range, but we've all seen it's not the strongest of slipstreams in the world, is it? As Michael Herfliderson, there's a certain aura that surrounds some of the Alcantech guys and the guys in that sort of group, and it's that teammates like to smash into each other a lot. And Michael Herfliderson, I don't think got a punt. Oh, no, he did. So Crispy punts him wide, and then Michael loses it, and, well, Morgan Butler can laugh at the self-destruction of AM Racing Team. I could have made a big song and dance and screamed about that, but if I'm honest, I'm not very well, so I can't get too shouty, but that is just... I mean, Michael was very unlucky because of where the grass was there, and that big bit of contact really did hurt the car. And he's still in the race as far as I can see. I think he's still running. He is. He's got the rear bumper hanging off, which I think looks great because I was used to watching touring cars in the 90s, and that was a normal sight. Ian Manners and James Neve are still fighting over the AM class lead. And Ian just trying to hold on at the minute. I'm not sure if Michael will have a meatball flag as it's known, and he'll have to come into the pits, and he does, yes. So Michael's race will effectively be over. Morgan Butler's race is definitely not over, though, as he now has second place and has to try and hold off Matthew Crisp. He finished third in the last race, did Crispy. He's going to want to do the same again. But Morgan hasn't had a podium yet this evening. Colin Sansom has had another drama, I'm afraid. He's come through turn 3 and 4. This is turn 4, sorry. Oh, he was on the power a bit early, and no. Oh, it's another hit into the wall for Colin Sansom. But I tell you what, I want to know what these Year 1 cars are made of that these guys drive, because they are completely indestructible. He's had a lot of knocks this evening, here's Colin Sansom, but he carries on pushing that car around. Morgan Butler's actually opened a little bit of a gap here over Matthew Crisp. Opened up to about 0.4 of a second for a moment there. And now Morgan is going to, of course, lose all that again when they get onto the slipstream down the start-finish straight. Race leader Alex Davidson, well, he's on the start-finish straight already. He has got 8 seconds over the cars behind. And what is his lap time looking like? A 1:21.12. And we look back to Morgan Butler, who's already lost all that gap. Never mind before they get onto the straight. Matthew Crisp with potential big damage to the front right of that car, doing well. It's a 1:21.6 and 21.4. So between them, they're about 0.3 or half a second off the pace of Alex Davidson on that last lap. No one else is actually in the 1:21s, I don't think, last time round. Sakovic is. He's doing 1:21.5s last time. He's just on his personal best, actually, as you see there. So Sakovic now 4th in the AM class, and he can see this battle going on in front of him as Ian Manners does everything he can to defend from James Neve, who now needs to do everything he can defend from the invisibility cloak employing Marcus Adams. He blinks in and out slightly for a moment there. Sakovic now with a front row seat through turn 2, through turn 3, onto the brakes, and then out of turn 4. He's just got to set himself up for a nice run. 4-way fight now for the AM class lead here in round 21 of the World GR86 Series. Like I said before, it's a real shame that the grid numbers have dropped throughout the season, but we really do hope to see them accumulate to bigger numbers once again as the championship goes into its final few meetings. The racing has been excellent whenever we've seen the bigger grids anyway. It's not like it detracts from the racing, so it'd be good to get some of the drivers back. 2.5 minutes to go. And Sakovic has to just sit behind and stare at the back of Marcus Adams' machine. Not really much he can do at this point in time. Haflidasson's just got past his dad. Haflidi Johansson is now 9th. Currently 5th in the AM class, but this is the lead at the front of it then. Ian Manners moves over to the right-hand side of the circuit. Is he going to go over to the left again? He is, and to be fair, if you're the driver behind, sometimes it's better to just stay in a straight line there because the car in front's just scrubbing off speed, giving themselves a long run down the straight. And if you go in a straight line, you'll get past them. James Neve down the inside. Runs wide on the exit. Ian Manners has taken a very tight line to the inside. And I think Marcus Adams wants a pop now as well. He says, yep, thanks very much, mate. I'll try that. Compromises the pair of them on the chicane. Sakovic ready for it. Oh, dearie me, there's contact as Adams loses it. Wow. He got sideways there and they just got away with that one. Nip and tuck. But now, look at this. Sakovic is only about... 1.4 seconds behind James Neve, and that is the two battling for the championship lead in this class. And he knows that it's going to be tough to get away from Sakovic in the championship, does Neve. And he'll definitely have been hoping that at this point Magic sort of comes to some sort of strife with these guys behind. As right now, Marcus Adams is almost making that come true. He's climbing around all over the back of him. Going further up the order, we need to look at this because we're on to the last lap of the race now here at Sandown. And Crispy's sending one up the inside of Morgan Butler. He's run wide though. There's contact and Crispy's pushed him off the track. Morgan comes back on, and I think Crispy's going to let him keep that place. He doesn't want to gain the place, I should say, by doing that. And now they've hit a reset button and the battle is back on. Morgan pushing it hard out of turn 4, and he gets a really nice run now. This is the little kink here at turn 5 there. And now we're on our way into turn 6 at the bottom of this straight. Morgan running on the grass though, it's not ideal. But they need to run as close as they can over to the right-hand side of the circuit. They are left-hand drive, these cars, so you can't always see where the right-hand side is. Morgan tips it in at turn 6. What's his run like in comparison to Crispy? Crispy really straight lines it, but gets a nice old run on it. Just looking at the front though, because around the final couple of corners to take his second win of the evening and open up his championship lead ever more. Alex Davidson does it again for Pure Sims Esports. Great drive. And more big points his way. Morgan Butler has got away from Crispy in the final moments, so he's going to get some good championship points out of that. Matthew Crisp gets his second third place finish of the night. And in the AM Championship battle, it's James Neve that's going to take the win. Neve overtaking Ian Manners, Marcus Adams overtaking Ian Manners, and Maciej Sakovic actually losing out to him at the last moment there. Wow, let's have a look back at this then. So Maciej got ahead, But Manners got him back. Let's have a look what happens here. So it's through turn 6. Sakovic has him. Over the curb. And when I last looked, I was writing something down, admittedly, when they crossed the line. But when I looked down, they were definitely nose to tail, and Sakovic was in front. So what's happened here? Oh, Sakovic has overdone it, and he's run wide on the exit. Ian's got a demon run, and he's going to beat him to the line. Wow. Amazing stuff. Well, that was a lively finish to the race, wasn't it? Alex Davidson takes the win then, his second win of the night. Great championship hopeful now. Morgan Butler in second place. Great finish for him, ahead of Matthew Crisp in third. James Neve wins the AM class ahead of Ian Manners and Magic Sakovic, with Marcus Adams finishing in 7th. Michael Hafliderson 8th. Haflider Johansson 9th. Colin Sansom 10th. Pete Newman was then 5 laps down. Christoph Karekis 14 laps down, with Jesper Eriksson and Andy Scheel after a very busy start that claimed a number of drivers in the early moments. Let's have a look back then at some of the early moments in this race and see if there are any drivers that we can go and chat to. We're going to interrupt them and see who we can quickly chat to. I'll tell you what, we've not spoken to for quite a bit actually. Mr. Davidson, you are once again a race winner tonight. It looked like a busy time trying to make your way through the field this evening, but this circuit really lends itself to slipstreaming, doesn't it, more than anything else?
Yeah, I think draft plays a massive part in this track, just because you got that long back straight, and there's honestly not too many corners here. I mean, I don't even actually know. Is there 8 maybe?
Well, apparently there's 14 according to the track map. 13, sorry. But I think that's absolute horseradish, to be fair.
I think they're reaching there. But yeah, it has a massive part to play, and it's actually really hard to pass here with the nature quite a lot of the corners. So you really got to set things up, and I found that in race 2. I got stuck behind... Who was it? Jesper. I could not get past them, and then I brake too deep. And then in these cars, when you like have such a slight contact, it just spins you around, and yeah, so that caught me out in race 2. But race 3 won pretty accordingly.
I was going to say it was certainly to plan, I'd imagine. But yeah, you're right. These cars are so lively, though. A circuit that's quite high speed like this, it really does demand a lot of commitment, doesn't it? And it really tests the sort of knowledge of this car to really throw it in like you had to tonight, doesn't it?
Yeah, for sure. I think you saw that with a lot of people falling off the face of the earth in quite a few corners. You really have to attack those curbs, and this car just doesn't like the bumps. And I think for me, the main thing I've found is lower wing seems to help you on the bumps massively.
Right.
So that's why I've been running lowest wing, and it's really helped out with the bumps.
Well, hopefully that's a little bit of advice for everybody else then to follow into the last 3 rounds. Speaking of them, Manicourt, Motegi and Daytona, 3 fantastic circuits in my eyes. Are you excited for any of them, I should say?
Yeah, I'm excited for them all. Daytona is going to be the best, and hopefully we'll get a nice 6, 7, 8 car finish to the line. Hopefully that should be pretty bonkers with the draft. So yeah, I'll definitely look forward to that one the most. And
is there anybody you'd like to give a quick shout out to before we let you go, Alex?
Before I go, big shout out to my papa for running around the kitchen with me with a dinner plate, pretending it was a steering wheel. I was younger.
Well, it's set you up well for this, mate, and obviously the championship's looking good. Thanks for talking to me, Alex. We'll see you soon.
Yep. Cheers.
And from the first place finisher in that final race, we go to the second place finisher. Morgan, there was a moment in that race where you maybe thought that it was all stuffed and gone down the drain, but it eventually came back, and second place was yours. It's a good result.
Yeah, I mean, I probably would have had first, but Ben Palmer said to Alex, Morgan, Alex, if you send Morgan, I'll order you a Domino's.
You are joking.
And we saw what happened. So Alex has got a Domino's, and I've lost a position.
I can actually see that in the Pure Sims Discord, there's a lot of them all in one place, and I know that Ben Palmer is influential enough like that to cause that sort of incident. So while Morgan says that, and you may be, if any of you watching may think that Morgan's joking by that, it's probably true. It genuinely is.
Yeah.
Probably
That's just
true.
Ben, isn't it? Yeah.
Bless him. Well,
I can't use the words I would use to describe Ben as we are live. However, I think you know the word that I would use, Chaz.
Yes, most of them start with, well, I'm not even going to say what letters, because most
of
them are just four letters long.
Yeah, and it's definitely not cute.
Well, what was not cute tonight was trying to wrangle these cars around here. What did you make of it? We've obviously heard from Alex, and and seen, you know, what the situation was with him running low wing and trying to monster the curbs. How did you find it?
I was also, to be honest, I think race 1 I ran slightly higher wing, and then I was like, you know what, I'm going to be an alpha male. I put the lower wing on for race 3, and it was fantastic. I mean, I am a major Sandown enjoyer in anything, so driving this track is always fun for me in whatever car class. I could even take a bike around it, like a little bicycle around it. It would still be enjoyable for me.
Well, it certainly looked like an enjoyable one to drive, but I imagine racing it was quite stressful. Is there anyone you want to give a quick... Ben Palmer's just popped up in the YouTube chat and said Davidson can have an extra topping. Flipping heck. I bet he's very happy. Anyway, anyone you want to give a shout out to, Morgan, before you go? I imagine not Ben.
Shout out, obviously, all the Pearsons boys, yourself. I would say shout out Alex, but he ruined my race. Again, not shout out, whatever the reverse of a shout out is to Ben. If anyone sees him in the street, you know, hit him from me.
We don't condone that, but Morgan's asked for it.
I do. I do.
Always a pleasure, Morgan. Always a good laugh, mate. Well done on second place either way. Some good championship points, and we will see you at Manicourt.
Yeah, see you at Manicourt.
Cheers, mate. Next up then, we'll have a chat with Michael Hafliderson, who finished that race a little bit further down in 8th position after some of the earlier dramas. But to be fair, Michael, as I said on stream, it's just normal for you guys to all implode with each other, isn't it?
Yes, I am gonna throw so much poop on Crispy for the rest of the season. It was basically I was braking a bit earlier than him, and well, he just broke later than me, and shit happens. So I mean, it's no one's fault, but I'm still gonna hold it over him.
Well,
throughout the season. That's
the thing, though. You know, at the end of the day, you're still racing with your mates, and I can imagine you still have a good time. Or do you all sit in Discord together? Because I think it was you lot that do. You all communicate mid-race, don't you?
Yes, me, Jesper, and Matthew, we sit together and mostly throw shit at each other, but we do have fun.
Well, that's what it's all about, mate. As long as you're having fun, that's what matters, and we love to see it in this championship. Manicourt next up, then Twin Ring Motegi, then Daytona. Are you a fan of either of those circuits? Is there anyone that sort of stands out to you?
I am a fan of them. I'm still waiting for Sonoma, as you promised. But,
I'm so sorry.
You know, we'll get there eventually. No, but I think they're gonna be good tracks, all of them. They're a bit more open, not so tight as these tracks.
Yeah.
A bit more easy to drive, which will be probably relaxing for the last 3 rounds. Maybe, except the draft.
Well, I'll keep my fingers crossed for you, mate, and I hope you have a fantastic time of it. And, of course, is there anybody you'd like to give a shout-out to before we go?
Well, obviously not Crispy. But, yeah, obviously thanks to Crispy and Jesper for staying with me and just having fun. And thanks to AMRT, of course, for providing me with my rig and all the Alkintech guys, even though they probably threw all the shit at me, but thanks for watching, guys.
Well, great fun to speak to you as always, Michael. Very well done on your results, and we'll see you at Manicourt. Cheers, mate.
Thank you, bye.
Well, there we go then. Michael Hafliderson, very funny. Apologies for the language, but I'm sure you can all imagine. It's just heat of the moment, and it's all in good fun. That is all we've got time for here tonight, though, on Chaz Draycott Media. A bit of a busy and lively evening, despite the grid size, but that's what the World Sim Racing World GR86 Series gives us. We always have a good fun night of it. There's always good racing. There's always incidents and drama and big shebangs like you see there with Jesper Eriksson, but there is always Alex Davidson. He seems inevitable at the moment, and with 3 rounds of the championship left to go, it's going to be a hard challenge for anyone else to go chasing him down. Let's see what happens then as we head to Manicourt in a week's time, but for now, that's all from me, Chaz Draycott, and the World Sim Racing World GR86 Series. Have a great night, everyone. Flipping heck, I need to go to bed. I'll get my words out soon, and I'll see you soon. Cheers.
4 French drivers at the French Grand Prix trying to win this on the final lap. The 3 wide again, Guillaume down the inside. Guillaume moves across, they're both in front of Milan and Pouget.
But before you know it, we find ourselves here in the very final race of the competition. And then they see truck racing and they think, this is crazy, you know, these are 5-ton machines, 1,200 horsepower.
Brake. Oh, look at that switchback. Oh, he's been mugged and it's ready to go out.
Back there, go on board with Ben Gregory now. I love it. Team
2.5 minutes gone. Senna Lanson tries to go for the race lead.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.